In this video, we're going to take a look at Armanov's upgraded tool heads for Dillon's 1050, 1100 series of presses, Dillon's RL550 series of presses, and Dillon's XL650 and XL750 series of presses. In addition, we'll talk about how Armanov's free float lock ring system works in conjunction with these upgraded Dillon tool heads. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. Armanov makes some great gear for checking cases and cartridges, and also a bunch of cool upgrades for Dillon presses. And if you've been watching our videos, you've seen a number of stories, including a complete trick out video upgrading the XL750. We upgraded the RL1100 with Armanov's RL1100/Super 1050 tool head, which is packed with features. And then most recently, we showed the RL550C with a zero play head. That was the loading tracers and subs for 308 video that you're going to want to check out as well. So in this video, I just wanted to take a step back and focus on the tool heads that Armanov makes for Dillon presses, and also the free float lock ring system, how they work together. And then we're going to finish off the video with an upgrade of the tool head we've got here for 22 ARC with one of these fancy XL750 tool heads. So we actually have a completely dedicated story covering the RL1100 and Super 1050 tool head from Armanov in detail. There's quite a bit there. The tool head features Hornady's lock and load bushing system, which is really cool because you can withdraw and insert dies at any station with 1/8 of a turn. It's got an integrated light, and it also comes with a bearing shell plate nut. The tools, ratchets for the 1050 and ratchet for the RL1100. All that included with the kit, and it's priced fairly close to what the cost of a Dillon OEM head costs. So a really good value on that. Tons of features and functionality. In this video, we're going to show the other tool heads, the zero play tool heads, in a little bit more detail. The zero play tool head for the RL550 has the same 4 stations, and it has these little tapped holes with threads in them for the screws that come with the zero play lock rings. And the way that that works is you screw the die all the way down with the lock ring on it. You back it up until the hole in the lock ring indexes with these central holes in the tool head, and you put the screw in, which prevents the die from rotating. Now, the threads are generously sized so that there's a little bit of play between the 7/8 14 threading on the die and the 7/8 14 oversized threading in the tool head. So this allows the die to free float and self-align, and then the screw keeps it from rotating. So it has a bit of sideways and slight bit of up-down motion that's possible there, but it won't rotate. Now, if you remove the screw, you can very easily unscrew the entire assembly because it's not tightened down. The lock ring isn't tightened down against the top of the shell plate, which makes the dies a lot easier to deal with, which I'll talk about in detail when we do the upgrade on the XL750. So these Armanov tool heads are CNC machined from a solid billet. They're not cast like the Dillon tool heads. They're anodized, they're numbered. You've got your hole here in the XL650, XL750 version for the powder check station. Really, really nice fit and finish. The other difference between these tool heads and the factory Dillon tool heads is you don't use these pins. There are screws that hold the tool head up in the channel tightly. And so instead of the whole tool head kind of floating around, which does not allow independent centering of the dies, you've got the tool head held securely with 2 screws, and each die station allows for that free float functionality. So it's a little bit of a different approach. It's got a really nice fit and finish and look and feel, and it is that extra bit of enhancement with the free float functionality and with the installation and the removal of the dies, that kind of thing. So these tool heads here are very similar to the RL550 one. This is another special tool head that's also zero play, uses the screws, but this has the cut down, step down section for trimming short cases, like if you're taking 223 Remington cases and you're going to convert those to 300 blackout, that sort of thing. Okay, and then the lock rings, we've shown these before, are really nice, and they've got a couple things about them that make them desirable. So it comes with the Allen key. You've got this cross bolt type screw arrangement here that will preserve the setting when you get it adjusted to the right position. And then also there is the through hole here for the screw that screws into this hole here on the tool head. You can see that right there. So the die can move around just a little bit, but it's not going to rotate. And then when you want to take that die out, you can now rotate the entire die and lock ring. Lock ring is locked to the die, so when it goes back in and you put that screw in, things are adjusted the way they were when you took them apart. These are CNC machined from aluminum. They are anodized, and then they also have the engraved branding on them. So they're really nice lock rings, and they work really well. Okay, so that's kind of the high-level overview of the free float lock rings and the upgraded Dillon tool head selection from Armanov. Next, let's take a look at getting this 22 arc setup on the XL750 upgraded with one of these billet Armanov free float tool heads. Okay, so here's our existing XL750 setup. This is an awesome 22 arc load with Hornady's new 62 ELD-VT bullets. We're using stay ball match, which when we chronographed, we were getting single digit SDs, like literally 1 or 0.6, something like that. Meter's really good out of the Dillon powder measure. Great candidate for loading progressive ammo for a precision bolt action rifle here, this exact setup. Okay, so I'm going to start. We're going to take the powder measure safety return rod off. We're going to pull the pins here and get the tool head off. Actually, before I actually remove it from the press, I'm going to crack the torque on these lock nuts. Might as well while it's secured on the press like that, right? Okay, those are all cracked, so we can literally take the entire tool head, put it on the original Dillon stand there. We're going to use a demi cartridge, a complete loaded cartridge for setting the bullet seating depth, and then we're going to use a comparator to set the die for the sizer. So we're going to install the tool head, and then each screw has a washer, and those are going to screw down and pull the tool head up tight in the channel. Okay, so the tool head is now installed and tightened, so we're going to work on the sizer die. Okay, so we've got the die off. We'll remove the Hornady lock ring and take an Armanov lock ring and get that ready to go. If I remember correctly, when we set this, we had this camming over just slightly. Okay, so we're cammed over. We're just going to take this lock ring and back it off until it aligns with the hole and get our screw down in there. Now we will tighten the cross bolt to preserve that setting. Okay, so that ring is tightened down. We'll double check our shoulder bump after we get the rest of this stuff set up. Okay, so now we're going to do the powder measure. Okay. In a similar way, we'll remove this lock ring. Install the Armanov lock ring. Okay. And what we want to do now is get a 5/32 and loosen this so that we can rotate it. And we're going to put a case in our station number 2 and bring that up so that we can kind of monitor our progress. Okay, so let's see where we're at to check our height. What we want to see is complete actuation of the linkage and for the bar to slide over and for there to be just a little bit of kind of play at the end. That looks like that's going to be real good. So in a similar way, we're now going to rotate the ring back around so that the hole is facing the middle. Get our screw locked down, and then we will tighten the cross bolt. Okay. Anti-rotation screw is there. Now let's tighten the cross bolt to preserve our setting. All right, on to the cedar die. And this is where our dummy cartridge will come in handy. Another Armanov block ring in the mix here. So here I'm going to back off the cedar plug quite a bit. Send the cartridge up. We're going to lower the die first and then lower the stem down onto the bullet ogive. Okay, so that looks like that might possibly have crimp functionality. So we're going to back that off a full turn. Lock ring tighten until it hits and then back off until it indexes with the hole. These, by design, do not tighten all the way down, these anti-rotation screws. There's room for things to move up and down, so you can feel them hit with almost like a 0.1 inch gap there. So that is how that should be. And then here we can tighten the cross bolt here from the get-go. We know that's our base dive setting. Now we're going to bring the cedar plug down against the ogive of the bullet. Compress everything. I think we had this at 2.260. Feels like that might be down there. Okay. So I'm going to back that off just a little bit. Felt like I might have been pushing the bullet, and we'll check with our digital calipers. Okay. So that was a pretty quick setup. And we're going to send a shell casing through and see how everything is working. Okay, so I'm going to check the shoulder bump. So we've got a case here that was fired but not sized. Zero on that. Let's see what our bump is. -6, so we can actually back that off a bit. I want this to be more at like -1.5 to 2 for a precision bolt action scenario. So I'm going to loosen the cross bolt, back off the die a little bit, and I'll check it again. For more exact measurement, this time I'm going to take the actual case in question here. 0 our comparator on that. Okay, so we now have our sizing done. We're at 0, so we need to crank that down just a little bit more. -0.5, a little bit more. There we go. -3, that's gonna work. Okay, so our sizer is set up. Let's go ahead and prime. Validate that our powder charge is sitting good. I like that. We'll double check with the scale as well. Okay, let's get our bullet seating depth checked here. Should be a little long, the way that I have set this up. Okay, that's the one that we just loaded. So we were at 2.232, 2.232, 2.283. Come down. Looking for 2.232. Could use a micrometer on there. Just a little bit more. Yep, within 1/1000th of an inch. Okay, so bullet seating is done. That means we're all done with setup. All right, we've got the press set up. I've run everything up. Let's do some progressive loading. Compared to regular precision rifle reloading, this is fast. This is a super good loading setup. Giving it a little bit of a dwell, a little hold at the top to let the powder completely drop. But this powder, being a ball powder, is really fast to drop and incredibly consistent. Wow, what a killer loading setup. Well, that feels great to be loading precision ammo in a hurry. And before we conclude this video, I just wanted to show the demo of removing the die. So the screw, the anti-rotation screw, can come out very, very quickly. And when you do that, very easy to remove the die. Now remember, we tightened the cross bolt so our setting is preserved, right? So if we needed to do whatever, we can do that now. And then to reinstall the die, we're just gonna go all the way down until the lock ring hits the tool head, like that, and then back it up to the point where we can realign the anti-rotation screw. Give it a little bit of a rattle to get it going. Make sure that that's not cross-threading. It's down and in. That's it. That makes that job a lot easier. Here's what I'd like to know. What did you think of these upgraded tool heads? I hope that you've watched the RL1100 video. We did a really cool 223 loading scenario there. The tracers and subs with 308, yet another case where we use them, and then this complete demo of installing the tool head, working with the free float lock rings, getting all the dies and the powder measure installed, all that. I'd like to know if you're using these tool heads, how they're working for you, and just generally what you think about them. Drop a comment and we'll start a discussion. We're gonna have more Armanov content coming up soon, so make sure you stay tuned and that you're subscribed. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.